Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild came out in the year 3000 and changed everything everyone knew about video games. Back then, everyone thought video games had to look like this. Little did they know that graphics as good as this were just around the corner. Our hero Zelda wakes up in a jacuzzi after the events of the last game, The Legend of Zelda and the Chamber of Seacrest, and he steals an iPad and runs off into the woods. This old guy tries to tell him off for stealing the iPad, so Zelda throws a flaming stick in his face. When that doesn't work, he jumps off a cliff, never to be seen again. Next, he goes to assassinate an old lady for talking trash on him while he was asleep. He tries to hold the kid hostage as a diversion so he can sneak in and kill her, but the guards don't really care, and the kid escapes anyway. Zelda sneaks in through the window and finds this old lady performing a seance. He launches an attack, but she hits him with the Uno reverse, and his insides completely disintegrate, which is kind of unfortunate. Turns out she's crazy anyway, so Zelda just bounces. Next, he goes to a town called Hateno, where there's an angry guy with a pitchfork guarding the entrance. That's a promising sign. He also immediately kills Zelda upon seeing him, an even better sign. Unfortunately, Hateno is infested with this angry elf creature, so Zelda does the humane thing and burns her house down. Serves her right for being a science nerd, I guess. Things take a turn for the worse though when he suddenly gets into a fight with Shrek while riding around on his horse Ferb. He tries his best, but, well, as the saying goes, no one wrecks the Shrek, and he gets brutally murdered. Finally, the story kicks in when after a bit of running around aimlessly, Zelda stumbles upon a chubby owl named Banyo, who's having some trouble with his pet drone. He asks Zelda to take care of it, and since he has nothing else better to do, he agrees to look into it. He tries holding this lady hostage to gather information, but she doesn't know anything, so he tracks down her husband to interrogate him instead. Since he's a giant klutz, Zelda accidentally kills him before he could get any information though, so he jumps into the water and drowns, rest in peace. Our hero flies up to the drone using his cloak of levitation to try and shut it down, but it turns out he's too dumb to solve any of the puzzles. Well, forget that, I'm out. Watch out, Zelda, a demon creature appears. He challenges him to a 1v1, and before you can say Sliggoo is the best Pokemon, Zelda gets shot by a laser and dies again. He also blows himself up, but we don't talk about that time. Finally, Zelda takes down this boss and he explodes like the Ender Dragon. Ben Kenobi's ghost appears and starts trash-talking him, then he shoots Zelda with the laser and cooks his insides, owie. Next, Zelda makes his way to a giant sandcastle in the middle of the desert for some reason. He tries to blow up the city with an airstrike, but gets banished for being too ugly, so he disguises himself as a blueberry and sneaks inside. For a while, it looks like it's gonna work, but then he gets caught by Spear Lady over here, so they make him go check out the Ninja Dojo as a punishment. Over in the Ninja Dojo, he throws some bananas around like Donkey Kong or something, and then he pretty much just leaves. Oh yeah, and he also meets Sensei Wu, the master of Spinjitzu, but he crushes himself with the spiky ball and dies, so it's just whatever. Once he returns from the dojo of peril, he rides off into the desert to fight a giant camel, where he almost gets stepped on, but unfortunately doesn't, and sneaks inside. Another demon shows up to kill him, but thankfully Zelda wins the fight, and Zelda dodges his attacks, and Zelda counterattacks, and Zelda... Okay, so Zelda just goes home, forget this guy, he's too strong. He wanders around creepy woods for a while when he spots these creepy faced trees and decides to kill them with fire. They bring him before the Master Tree to be judged for his crimes, and to everyone's surprise, they let him off with the warning and tell him don't do it again, even though he's already gonna do it again. They even give him a cool sword for being so awesome. He almost picks it up, but then falls asleep. Meanwhile, over in the Water Kingdom, Zelda uses his new sword to mug people, but the king tells him to knock it off and gives him a gross-looking shirt. They offer him a job as a professional hitman, and Zelda's like, yeah, obviously. So they send him to the mountains to kill Mr. Ed's buff cousin. They give him 18 shillings as payment, but fire him because he smells like tuna. Now fired from his job, Zelda takes up a position as an elephant poacher to make ends meet. Pretty sure that's super illegal, but okay. He and this mermaid join forces to double team this hater by shooting it a bunch of times. You're probably not supposed to do that, and then jumping inside of it, which you're definitely not supposed to do that. There's a couple puzzles and another demon guy, but this time it's way easier because Zelda has lightning powers now, I guess. Zelda's girlfriend comes back from the dead to wish him a happy birthday, and he's just like, please shut up. All of a sudden, Zelda tries to perform the traditional mating dance of the winged panther for street cred, but then bursts into flames and dies. Thankfully, the witch shows up and sells him some junk that will keep him alive or something? I don't know. Zelda downs that potion like John Wick with the chug jug, and then blows himself up and dies once again. Zelda finds a child trapped behind some rubble, so he obliterates him with the cannon. That'll show him for getting stuck. He goes back and tells this pirate that his son is dead, and he's pretty okay with it, and honestly, I can see why. Suddenly, he has a terrifying flashback to the time Hulk Hogan slapped him to death. It's so traumatizing that he goes crazy and tries to blow up the city, but it doesn't work. Oh look, the little snot rag from before is still alive and is being tortured by lizards. Better fix that. There we go. Zelda was planning on jumping into this volcano for his YouTube prank channel, but to his chagrin, some Amazon drones appear to try and stop him. Zelda attempts to nuke them all, but... yeah. Zelda goes ahead and destroys all the drones. So Zelda goes ahead... Okay, so Zelda destroys all the drones and then jumps into the volcano. He stumbles around in the dark for a while, both figuratively and literally, until finally he lights some torches and the sunroof opens. Zelda goes through the giant robot, solving all the puzzles and fighting the boss, and who really cares though? Hulk Hogan appears and hits Zelda with a Kamehameha, and finally Zelda sets out to fight Ganon. He sneaks into the castle and runs around aimlessly, throwing barrels around and just generally being a nuisance. After a few minutes of pointlessly causing a ruckus, Zelda finally makes it to Ganon's lair and challenges him to a boxing match. Final destination, no items. Turns out Ganon is actually just a big creepy bug, so this should just be a piece of cake. And honestly, it pretty much is. Right before Zelda puts the finishing touches on this beat-down sandwich, Ganon turns out to be an animagus from Harry Potter and he transforms into a dinosaur. Zelda shoots him with a railgun though, so he gives up and goes home. And I don't know who this guy is, so he's probably not important. So yeah, that's The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I thought it was pretty good, honestly. The only part I didn't like was the surprise musical number at the end. That didn't really make any sense. Bye! YOLO, it's Yeshtopia. Thank you guys so much for watching that video. If you guys want to see another one I did on Super Mario Odyssey, you can click that little box right there. And if you like this video and you want me to do more stuff like this, please let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye, faithful members of the Yesh Army!